Recording in progress.
Okay, so let's begin. So last week we finished the topic, the first topic, search for happiness. Um, so what are some of the learnings from first topic?
Trying to remember. I think we discussed about the 4 wives
Yeah,
in the first topic.
yeah.
Do you want me to talk about?
No, not the whole content, but some quick learnings from first topic.
That we should seek eternal happiness, not like just fleeting happiness.
Yes, very good. The happiness in the material world is flickering temporary happiness. So we should not go after temporary sense objects to seek for, temporary happiness in this material world. Rather, we should aim to achieve eternal bliss, long-lasting happiness. Yeah. Okay. Very good.
Forgetting, we treated an acronym body. I'm forgetting one of the.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. Body.
It's like death, birth, diseases, and
Yeah. We discussed the different types of problems.
yeah,
There are relative problems and real problems. Unemployment is a relative problem.
yeah,
Unemployment is a problem to a person who doesn't have a job. But for a person who is earning good income, it's not a problem for him. So it's relative. Whereas the real problems are four: birth, death, old age, and disease. Yeah. And then there are threefold miseries: Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika. Problems created by one's own mind, problems created by other living entities, and problems created by natural calamities, tsunami, earthquake, hurricane, and so on, tornadoes. Okay, so our goal is to solve these real problems. If we solve the real problems, then the relative problems will be automatically taken care. But if we focus on solving only the relative problems, the relative problems will never be solved. That's what we are all experiencing, right, day to day. Unemployment, poverty, or mental stress, depression, health issues, all these problems. So even if you endeavor, you cannot really solve these temporary problems. But if you focus on solving the permanent problems, the real problems, then we can solve those problems as well as the relative problems. Okay, so that's our goal. So So we discussed a lot about problems, and we kind of uh, created uh, we kind of gave a gloomy uh, gloomy picture of this material world, right? So just like the Seattle weather, we kind of gave a gloomy picture of the material world. So it's not just to, the purpose is not to portray the material world in a gloomy way, but the purpose is to present the reality. Okay, most of the times people do not even acknowledge that they are suffering. Okay, they switch from one problem to another problem, and then they think, okay, that problem is gone, and very soon they will realize that they are stuck with another problem. So we are always chasing one thing after the other, and we are never happy actually. Um, So we discussed a lot about problems. So first of all, who created these problems? That's what we need to understand, right? So in movies we have seen whenever there is a problem, the hero or heroine goes to the temple and rings all the bells and calls out for the god. So when there are problems in life, people first of all they put blame on God, saying that oh God, why did you create such a miserable material world? हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना, दुनिया बनाने वाले कैसे दुनिया बनाई, क्या तेरी मन में समाई, कैसे दुनिया बनाई, something like that. Okay. uh, but the same problem can bring a person closer to God. Okay, when there are problems in life, somebody can put blame on God and they can get frustrated, they can go away from God. And for someone else, they can consider a problem as an opportunity to come closer to God. Okay, so they can question, okay, there are problems, I'm suffering right now, but is there a place where there are no problems? Is there a place where there are no miseries and I'm happy eternally? So somebody can question like that. So if an intelligent person questions like that, they can come closer to God and they can find answers to their problems in life and they can achieve eternal happiness. So there's a real incident that happened in India a few years ago. One person, he was going through a lot of problems in Mumbai actually. He was living in Mumbai. He was going through a lot of problems in life. And one day during the Ganesh Navaratri time, he was walking on the street and he heard a recording coming from the loudspeakers. So in Ganesh Navaratri time, they celebrate Ganesh Puja on the streets, right? Just like we had a big festival here in Merrimur Park also. So he heard a song that says, what is that? What is the first line of this song? Chal ke tujhe mai leke jalu. What is the first line? No, first line. I'm forgetting the first line. Okay, the song goes something like this. Okay. Uh, huh? It starts with Achal ke tujhe mai leke chalu. Okay, so it goes like this. चल के तुझे मैं लेके चलूं, जहाँ गम भी न हो, आंसू भी न हो, बस प्यार ही प्यार तले, something like that. Okay, the famous Kishore Kumar song. So he heard this and then he started pondering. Okay, so somebody is saying that they can take me to such a place where there is no gum, there's no misery, there are no asu, there are no tears. So let me inquire what is that place. And then he asked some questions, and then he became happy. So like that, a problem can be an opportunity for all of us to come closer to God. We all know the famous story of Gautam Buddha when he was Siddhartha. Before he became Gautam Buddha, his name was Siddhartha. He was born in a royal family. So the father of Siddhartha, so let me see who else joined online. Okay. So the father of Siddhartha, he consulted an astrologer. As soon as he was born, he consulted an astrologer. And the astrologer said, your son Siddhartha will either become a great monk, a sannyasi, or he will become a great Kshatriya. So the father was a king. So obviously he wanted his son also to be a king. Then he didn't want to give any opportunity or he didn't want to give any chance to Siddhartha to become sannyasi. So what he did was he raised his son in a protected environment within the palace. He provided all the comforts to him, and he took care of everything in such a way that Siddhartha would not see any miseries, any difficulty, any problematic thing. He would not even know the definition of the problem. So he raised in such a great way. And then after Siddhartha grew up a little bit, when he was in young age, he asked one of his ministers to take him outside. So he was walking outside, and then he saw one man. He saw one man coughing, and then Siddhartha asked the minister, "What is this man doing?" Then the minister said, "It's called coughing." Huh? So then Siddhartha asked, "Does it happen to everyone?" He said, "Yeah, it can happen to everyone." Okay, so then they moved on further on the street, and then Siddhartha saw an old man holding a stick and walking with great difficulty. And then Siddhartha asked another question to this minister, "Oh, what happened to this old man?" Minister said, "He's suffering from his old age. He's not able to walk. He has some disease. Um, does it happen to everyone?" The minister said, "Yes, it can happen to everyone." And then they kept on walking further, and then they saw a dead body was being carried by 4 people. Siddhartha asked, "What is this? What happened to this person? He's just sleeping on some kind of bed and 4 people carrying him. Is he not able to walk or what?" Then the minister said, "This person is dead." Dead? Does it happen to everyone? Yes, it can happen to everyone. So then when Siddhartha came back to the palace, he started thinking about it very seriously. So all this while, I have been only exposed to the royal comforts of this palace, but the real life is something different. There are diseases, there is death, there is old age, and so on. Then that time he decided, I'm going to ask intelligent questions and inquire the absolute truth, and I'm going to become a sannyasi. I'm going to renounce this comfortable life in the royal palace, and I'm going to go to the village and see real life and become a sannyasi. So that's how he started, becoming a monk. So in the last topic, we concluded saying that when we have taken human birth, we should utilize the great potential or the special prerogative that is given to human beings to ask questions. Atato Brahma Jignasa. Atato means therefore, thus. Brahma Jignasa. Jignasa means inquire. What kind of inquiry? Brahma Jignasa. Inquire into the absolute truth, or inquiry of the absolute truth. Because you have taken human birth, you inquire. Atato Brahma Jignasa. So we should ask questions like, who am I? Who is God? Or does God exist? Why do bad things happen to good people? And so on. So today's topic is, does God exist? So how many of you believe that God exists? Okay, except Abhilash. Everybody believes in God. So why do you think you don't believe in God?
No, it's not like that. I believe.
Okay, so you didn't eat your breakfast. That's why you're not able to raise your hand. Okay, no, it's good to have mixed people in the class. So then there was a nice story. Once in a village, um, all the villagers, they called a sadhu for some pravachan, for some discourse. So the sadhu came, and then he asked the same question. Raise your hand if you believe in God. Everyone raised their hand. Then the sadhu said, "Okay, if you all believe in God, then what's the purpose of me speaking about God? You already believe in God. And then he walked away. And then the next day they called the sadhu again. And then the sadhu next day also asked the same question. How many of you believe in God? Raise your hand. Then this time nobody raises their hand. Then the sadhu thinks, sadhu says, okay, if you don't believe in God, what's the point in me talking about God? You anyway don't believe in God. Then he walks away. Then all the villagers, they brainstorm and then they make a plan saying that, okay, next time when he comes, half of us, we should raise our hand and half the people should not raise their hand. And after a few days, the sadhu comes again. And this time the sadhu asks the same question. Half the people raise their hand and half the people do not raise their hand. And then the sadhu says, people who believe in God, teach to those people who do not believe in God. So like this, our faith in God can be very shaky. Even though we think that we believe in God, but our faith in God can be very shaky. If we are put into some challenging situation by some atheist or by some philosopher from other organization, uh, then we start wondering, does God really exist? Maybe not. Okay, so if you happen to talk to a colleague at office, right? A Chinese person at office, most of the Chinese, they do not believe in God. Some of them, they believe in Buddha, but most of them, they do not believe in God. So if you end up talking to him every day, it's possible that you may start losing faith on God. So our faith is shaky in life. So that's why we need to have strong foundation of who is God. Does God actually exist? What is the origin of this universe, and what is the origin of my existence in this universe? So we should have a clear understanding of these things. Otherwise, we can be challenged by someone and we can lose our faith. Okay, so that's the purpose of this discussion. We know that we all believe in God, but when we go through some details of this belief or faith in God, then our foundation can become strong. Okay. So the context of this topic, does God exist, is because there are problems in material world, and we think that it is God who created the problems. Okay. So that's why we started discovering the root. We started digging uh, and questioning, does God actually exist? Okay, I think we can close that door also now. Can somebody close that door, please? Okay, so to solve a problem, we need to go to its root. So in software, we all know this very well, RCA, root cause analysis. So to solve a problem, first you need to do the root cause analysis of a problem. Because without understanding the problem thoroughly, you cannot find a solution. So who created this mess? Is there somebody behind all this? So there are two approaches, right, to understand who created this mess, who created the problems in material world. So our two approaches, or the two methods that we can acquire knowledge in life, is either through religion or through science. So religion, or the philosophy of God, or theology, that works on faith. And science is based on reasoning, logical reasoning, okay, or scientific reasoning. In one sense, science also is based on faith only. How many of you agree or disagree? Agree? Okay. Neha, what do you say?
Yeah, to most extent, I feel yes.
Yeah. What do you say?
Yeah, 99% is.
19% faith. Yeah.
It's like when you're
Abhilash?
experimenting, you want a result and you get that result because you're working to find that one solution.
Yeah.
So it's faith, like because you believe in it, you find it.
Yeah. Nandana or Nandini? What do you say?
It's faith.
It's faith. Okay. Very good. Okay. So majority of us agree that it's based on faith. The 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 initial basis is faith. For science also, the initial basis is faith. So based on some observation or based on some thought process, the scientists can come up with some theory, and then they can also come up with some process to find if that theory is correct or not. Okay, they can prove it if the theory is correct or not. They can verify that, but it all starts with theory. Everything in science starts with theory. Sorry, faith. Everything in science starts with faith. But oftentimes, people think that science works on proofs and science is completely based on logical reasoning, all these things. And they think that religion or theology, the philosophy of God is simply based on faith. It's blind faith. They reject it. Okay. But essentially, both science and religion, the foundation is same. So for science, there is an observation, and then there is a process, and then there is a result. Similarly, for religion, there also there is an observation, and then there is a process, there is result. Okay. Now let's talk about the the origin of the universe. How did this universe come about? Okay, how did this? Who created the universe? So first, let's talk about the approaches in science. Okay, then we'll come to the religion. So what does science say about the the origin of the universe? What have you heard since childhood?
The Big Bang Theory.
Hmm?
The Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang theory. Okay, what else?
Simulation theory.
Stimulation theory.
Simulation.
Simulation theory. Yeah,
Big Bang.
yeah. Big Bang.
Big Crunch.
Hmm?
Big Crunch.
Big Crunch.
Big Crunch and then again Big Bang.
Okay. Yeah. Chance theory. There is chance theory. There is Darwin evolution theory. Huh? So many theories are there. So Big Bang. What does Big Bang theory say? You want to say anything about it?
There was a sudden explosion of energy and expansion of space.
Hmm.
And the
Expansion of.
expansion of space was faster than the speed of light.
Mhm.
And then it expanded from a single point of energy and it expanded all over. Yeah.
Yeah. So Big Bang theory essentially says that in the beginning, uh, there was a point singularity of high density that kind of exploded at some point, and then as he described, right, it exploded at a speed, it expanded at a speed faster than light, and then that's how this world or universe was created. And then in the same theory, in the same Big Bang theory written by these scientists, in the very first line, they gave a disclaimer. What is the disclaimer? They said, this theory is mathematically unmeasurable and scientifically unprovable. They gave a disclaimer in the very first line. The scientists who proposed this Big Bang theory as one of the possible reasons for the origin of this universe, They gave a disclaimer saying that this theory is mathematically unprovable and then mathematically not measurable and scientifically unprovable. So in science there are some axioms. So what is an axiom? What's the definition or the meaning of this word axiom?
Not sure. Is it X to Y axis?
Huh?
The line?
Axioms and postulates.
Postulates, yeah.
School studied in school. No, maybe it can't be proven. Not sure.
No, something that can be proved. Yeah. So axiom means there are some postulates, as he said. Um, they have to meet anything in science has to meet certain criteria uh, uh, as defined in the axioms. Axioms are nothing but okay. Let me look up that exact definition. I'm not able to put it into words. A statement or proposition which is regarded as being established, accepted, or self-evidently true. That means these are some facts or truths which are well, uh, uh, which cannot be defeated. Okay, which cannot be defeated or which cannot be proven otherwise. Okay, they are self-evidently true. Uh, so some examples of axioms are everything in science must be mathematically equatable. Everything that we see in the universe should be translated into a mathematical equation. Everything that we see, okay, the building that we see, the animals that we see, the trees, the space, everything in the universe that you see should be equated to a mathematical equation. Now the Big Bang theory, they say that it cannot be measured mathematically, and it cannot be proved scientifically. So now forget about what was said by these scientists who proposed Big Bang theory, but let's try to understand and figure out if it makes logical sense that whenever any bang happens, okay, let's say in a kitchen of the house, a big bang happens. Does it lead to construction or destruction? It leads to destruction, obviously, right? So then how can a big bang cause construction of such a beautiful universe? Or in the first place, who created the bang? Who created the bang? So there are no answers to all these questions. So that defeats the possibility of Big Bang theory as the cause of this universe. Okay. And then there are other theories, chance theory. So what does chance theory say? The chance theory says the universe just came about randomly, by chance. The universe came about by chance, just randomly. Now, such a beautiful and gigantic, universe, can it occur randomly? Can it occur by chance? Whenever we see any beautiful painting, right? For example, there are Radha Krishna, beautiful, deities are there. So can such a beautiful creation happen randomly and by chance? No. The first question that we ask whenever we see a beautiful painting, for example, there is Krishna and then cows, such a beautiful painting. So the first question we ask whenever we see a beautiful painting is, who painted it? Okay. So chance theory, and what is the criteria for chance theory? An example of chance theory is, for example, in a cricket game, they toss a coin, right? It's an example of chance theory. So when you toss a coin, you can have either head or tail. Now, what's the fundamental principle in chance theory? The fundamental principle is it should be repeatable. Okay, the experiment can be repeated. It should be repeatable. Now, when the scientists are saying the universe came about by chance, it should be repeatable, right? We should see, the universe getting created and then getting annihilated and then getting created again, which is happening, by the way. But it should happen more frequently. It should be repeatable at the will of scientists. So that's not happening. So that defeats chance theory. And then there is Darwin's evolution theory, who proposed a theory saying that all the human beings they evolved from lower species of life, mostly monkeys, which is true in one sense. All the human beings we are of higher species of life. We evolved from lower species of life. Did we discuss about 8.4 million species of life in the previous topic? No? We did not? Maybe we did briefly. So there are 8.4 million species of life in the whole creation. Not just this world, not just this universe, but in all the unlimited number of universes, the total number of species, different species of life is 8.4 billion. Like human beings, animals, reptiles, insects, aquatics, all these things. So it is true in one sense that we started our life as a small amoeba, in the lowest species of life, and then we just evolved, and now we are a human being. It is true in one sense, but the Darwin's evolution theory, it just says that in the beginning there were only monkeys or some lower species of life, and then that's how the evolution happened, and then the human beings. It does not talk anything about God. It does not talk anything about the cause of those lower species of life. Who created those lower species of life? It does not talk anything about that. So that defeats the possibility of Darwin's evolution theory as a possible reason for the origin of this universe. Okay, or the possible reason for the origin of life in the universe. Okay. So in our science, we have some scientists, some great scientists who believed in God, and sometimes some scientists who never believed in God. Okay. So, for example, Isaac Newton was one of the theistic scientists. Theistic scientists means scientists who believed in God also. They believed in science and they believed in God also. Because Einstein once he said that the more I think about it, the more it forces me to the more I think about it, the more it forces me to think that there is God behind the creation of behind the creation of everything in the universe. Okay, so now Isaac Newton one day he created a miniature model of the solar system, and he kept it on his work desk. So the next day, his friend happened to visit him. His friend was an atheist. He did not believe in God. So the friend asked Isaac Newton, "Oh, such a beautiful solar system. Who gave you this?" And Isaac Newton replied, saying that, "No, I just opened my office doors and I just saw it randomly here. It just came about by chance." Then the friend ridiculed Isaac Newton, saying that, "Come on, such a beautiful miniature model of solar system, how can it occur randomly?" Then Isaac Newton said, if you think that a small miniature model of solar system cannot happen randomly, how can you believe that a gigantic solar system in this universe can occur randomly? Okay, so like that, we are fortunate to have some scientists who are theists. Isaac Newton once said, this most beautiful system of the sun, planets, and comets could only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent, powerful being. This being governs all things, not as the soul of the world, but as Lord over all. And on account of his dominion, he is to be called Lord God, universal ruler. And when we say that this universe is created by chance and there is no creator, because we see that there are so many theistic people, atheistic people in this society. And they all say the universe just came about by chance. In fact, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 16 and 17, chapter 16 titled as Divine and Demoniac Natures, Daiva Asura Sampad Vibhaga Yoga, Krishna tells that people who are too materialistic, they think that the life and the universe uh, happened just because of lust. Just because of lust between man and woman, the life came about. They think that's the origin of life in this universe. So that's their understanding. If a person is too materialistic, if they are completely engrossed in sense gratification and they are chasing after worldly things every day, that's all they can think. They cannot think anything beyond that. Okay, so creation implies creator. Whenever there is a beautiful painting, the first question that we ask is who painted it, who created it. So creation implies creator. So there are so many beautiful things in the material world. You the universe itself is the phenomena of the creation of the universe itself is very mind-boggling. Okay, and there are so many wonderful things within the universe. All the planets, they are just hanging in the space. Okay, so we think that when we are sitting on the floor or when we are sitting on the bed, we think that we are stationary, but we are just hanging in the space and then we are rotating. So who created such a gigantic and complex creation? There must be some creator. Human brain is the most sophisticated computer in the universe. So who created this? It cannot occur randomly or by chance. So now after discussing the four possible theories in science to explain the origin of universe and origin of life in the universe, now we are going to discuss about religion, or what does religion have to say in terms of the creation of the universe. How did this universe come about, or how did the life in the universe come about? Okay, and we're going to explain that in four different perspectives. The first one is just we discussed that creation implies creator. Okay, creation implies creator. The human brain is made of a trillion brain cells, and each one of these is more powerful and sophisticated than the most computers around the planet today. Okay. And then we see many disparities in the society. Some people are beautiful and handsome, some people are not so beautiful and handsome. Some people are born blind, some people can see everything. Some people are rich, some people are poor, some people are powerful, some people are weak. So if all these disparities in the society happen randomly or by chance, that's not fair, right? If a person is so rich and another person is very poor, and if these two things are happening randomly without any logic, without any reasoning, that's not fair. Okay? That means there is somebody, there is an intelligent person who decides all this. There is an intelligent person who makes all these arrangements. Like somebody has to be rich, somebody has to be poor. There is an intelligent brain working behind all this. So in life, we can choose certain things, and many things in life are beyond our control. We have the freedom to choose only few things. Even those things, there is a limited freedom or limited free will. Things like job, a wife or husband, the type of car, an apartment, and many more things. So these things, even though we think that we can choose, but still they are beyond our control. There are other factors there are other factors that are controlling these things. Yes, we put a great endeavor to get a job, but there are other factors that are controlling. Yes, we put in a great endeavor to find a good wife or husband, but there are other factors that are controlling this. Uh, but we have some limited choice or limited freedom to make these decisions. Even though there are other factors deciding this, but we have some limited freedom. But things like parents and our beauty, intelligence, they're completely beyond our control. They're completely beyond our control. Our birth, we cannot decide. We cannot choose our parents. We cannot choose to be beautiful or handsome. We cannot choose to be a person of high IQ. So who chooses and on what basis? It's not by chance. Okay, so the first one was creation implies creator, and then uh, we see order and systematic arrangement in the universe, arrangement or organization. So organization implies organizer. Creation, just like how creation implies creator, organization implies organizer. When things in this universe are so organized, for example, all the planets, they are rotating in their orbits, very very nicely. Even a slight deviation from the rotation of Earth, if the Earth rotates little faster than what it is, then what happens? What happens if the Earth rotates a little faster than what it is? Or what happens if the Earth rotates a little slower than what it is? Hmm? Disruption. If the Earth rotates slightly slower than what it is, it can the things in the earthly planet can become either too hot or too cold, and life cannot sustain. And if the Earth rotates slightly faster than what it is, then it causes collision. So there is somebody uh, who is overseeing the organization of things in the universe, which implies an organizer. Creation implies creator, and organization implies organizer. Everything in the universe that we see, for example, uh, when we look at different species of life, right? In one of the previous slides, we saw about human brain, how how powerful human brain is. Hmm? Uh, and when you look at other animals, for example, bats, okay? So, what do you know about bats? Bats are owls.
They stay awake in the night.
Night creature.
Yeah, night creatures.
Mhm.
Elephant.
Actually, they cannot see. Bats cannot see. Bats cannot see at all. But how do they move around?
Energy.
Hmm?
Energy.
Sound. Yeah. So the bats, they produce some sound, and when they hear the resonance of the sound, based on that resonance, and they can move around. Now let's say there are 10 bats in this room. Now when 10 bats are producing the sound, there's a resonance, and then there is a echo, there's a chaos, right? So how is that handled? How is that managed? How is that organized? It is organized in such a way that the sound frequency of each bat is very unique. No two bats can produce the same frequency of the sound. So even though there are 10 bats in the same room, the sound frequency of each bat is unique. That's why they can move around in that particular direction. So, so who is the person organizing all these things in the universe, such complex things? And then the third aspect that we are going to talk about to explain uh, the possible reason or the possible cause of the creation of this universe is about the laws in the universe. Laws imply a lawmaker. Just like how there are traffic laws in the city, saying that you should drive on one direction, and then there are some traffic lights, and then there are more detailed traffic laws. So all these traffic laws, they did not occur randomly. Somebody created these laws. Okay, people who are driving in India, they follow the laws created in India, and people who are driving in the Western countries, the laws are different. There is somebody who is creating all these traffic laws. So wherever there are traffic laws, that means there is a lawmaker. There's a lawmaker. There's a person who created these traffic laws. Similarly, there are some universal laws: law of mechanics, law of thermodynamics, uh, uh, Newton laws, and so on. So all these scientists, they discovered these laws. They did not invent these laws. For example, Newton, when he saw an apple falling off the tree, he started doing some research and came up with gravity. It doesn't mean that Newton invented gravity. He discovered gravity. Okay, so there are laws in the universe. Laws imply a lawmaker. These are different laws. So when all these things, when the organization of uh, the planets in the universe, the organization of life in the universe, when everything is organized by an intelligent organizer, how can things like birth, beauty, intelligence be some random events? Doesn't make sense. Okay, so laws imply a lawmaker. So this is a famous quote by Albert Einstein. There is a perfect brain behind all the natural physical laws. Law implies a lawmaker. And the lawmaker uh, is that person who does not just create the laws, but also oversees the laws. A person who has created traffic laws, they also come up with a mechanism to oversee the laws, right? When citizens are not abiding by the traffic laws, what to do, all those things. So a lawmaker, not only creates the laws, but he also oversees the laws. He also makes sure that the laws are maintained in the universe. Now, the fourth aspect that we're going to talk about is design implies designer. Design implies designer. Now, when we see a powerful jumbo jet airplane, we know that somebody created that. Boeing created that. And the scientists at Boeing, the engineers at Boeing created that jumbo jet airplane. But when we see a bird that can fly very freely and without any cost, with so much of ease, is it fair to say that there is no designer? It doesn't make sense. A beautiful flower. When we see a painting of a beautiful flower, the first thing that we ask is who painted it. And when we see a beautiful natural flower, rose, which has beautiful fragrance and then beautiful colors and everything, the texture, everything, is it fair to say that it just occurred randomly by chance? No, it doesn't make sense. So since we have talked about all these beautiful things, right? Beautiful and powerful things in the universe. A beautiful thing like rose and a complex thing like the planets rotating in their orbits with the precise movement. Uh, so can you name some of the things that you see in the universe that you think are beautiful or powerful or mind-boggling or wonderful? Can you name a few?
Black holes.
Hmm?
Black holes.
Black holes. Okay. Uh, huh? Flowers, yeah.
Trees, mountains,
Trees,
rivers.
mountains, yeah.
Living beings, I would say.
Living beings, yeah. Very good. Living beings, we are just moving freely, right? And scientists are spending so much time and effort and money uh, in creating robots that can only move by few inches. Whereas,
Fascinating thing is that no two human being or being anyway is
hmm?
similar. All beings are different in all
Yeah,
senses.
yeah. What else? Monica, you want to say something? Anything wonderful that you see in the world? Because all these things we see in our day-to-day life, like beautiful roses, we have seen many times in our life, right? But we take them for granted. Very seldom we appreciate these beautiful things.
Water bodies, rivers.
Hmm?
Water bodies, rivers.
Water bodies, yeah, yeah. Huge. The ocean, if you look at the ocean, you can't see an end. It's so huge. The depth and the length and breadth of the ocean is so vast that it feels like it's unlimited. There's no end to it. Yeah, water bodies, very good. Nandana or Nandini? Oh, what's your correct name? Nandana, right? Okay, she's not there. Oh, she's there.
Yes, yes. It's Nandana.
Nandana, yeah.
Nandana.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
can you
Sorry, I
name?
couldn't find the unmute button.
Okay. Can you name some of the wonderful or beautiful things in the world?
The air we breathe. That's,
The
I
air.
don't know how air we breathe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Very good. Very good. People often talk about the seven wonders of the world. Taj Mahal, Great Wall of China, all those things. But if you look at our own body, right? So the most amazing thing, so few years ago, I asked a similar question in a small assembly of children. Uh, what is the most wonderful thing in the world? Then one girl, she responded saying that human's face, the face of the human being, is the most wonderful thing. Why? There are no two human beings who have the same exact face. Even the twins that are born of the same mother, there is a slight difference. And what's the population of the world? 7 billion? 7 billion people, and each person's face is very unique. Each person's smile is very unique. Each person's voice culture is very unique. The voice culture is so unique that, if you listen to somebody's voice for a few days, and then after that, even though you don't see that person, but if you hear the voice from behind, you know who is coming, who is there. The voice culture is so unique. The face is so unique. Yeah? These are the beautiful things uh, that we take them for granted. The ability to speak, the ability to hear, the ability to see things. These are all beautiful things. They're all wonderful things, but we take them for granted. Yeah, as Nandana said, the ability to breathe, yeah? The air itself, the air we cannot see. It's so subtle, we cannot see it. But without that air, we cannot live. So everything is so precious and so wonderful. The earth molecules, same earth molecules. You plant roses and lilies in the same ground, in the same soil. You plant lilies and roses right next to each other. When they produce flowers, the fragrance is completely different. The same earth molecules, when they are combined in different permutations and combinations, they produce a different fragrance. Because the fragrance in the flowers is not coming from the petals. The fragrance in the flowers is coming from the soil. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Punyo Gandha Pradhivyamcha. Punyo Gandha Pradhivyamcha. The fragrance in the flowers, Krishna says, I am the fragrance in the flowers. Okay? Or the Punya Gandha, the Gandha means fragrance. The Gandha comes from Prithvi. And Krishna says, I am that Prithvi. I am that Prithvi who gives fragrance to the flowers. Okay, so design implies a designer. Another theistic science who believes in God by name Kelvin, he says, if you think strongly enough, you will be forced by science to believe in God. Because science is trying every day to find the cause of the effect in the society, in the universe. So there is an effect, and then there is a cause that is producing the effect. There's a cause that is causing the effect. So cause and effect. So scientists are constantly trying to find the cause of various effects in the universe. The quantum physics or the black hole theory that he just mentioned, right? So these are all theories by scientists to explain about God. Okay. Eventually, there will be a day where scientists cannot prove the existence of God, and then they they'll have to believe in God. But unfortunately, there are some atheistic scientists like Stephen Hawking. So what did Stephen Hawking say? Stephen Hawking said, so life on the planet of Earth is so miserable, it's going to be dangerous in the future generations. Let's all escape to Mars. Now, where is Stephen Hawking now? so, so, but unfortunately, there are so many people who believe in statements like that. Because Stephen Hawking's, no doubtedly, a very, very intelligent person. So the common man in the society, when they hear statements like this by an intelligent person like Stephen Hawking's, they think that is true. They think that is true. Now, talking about another aspect of God, the design by God. If you look at the design in everything in the society, okay, in the universe, God has left His signature. God has left His signature. There is something called as Fibonacci series. How many of you know about Fibonacci series? Or Fibonacci, whatever it is. Then the correct word is Fibonacci, right? Yeah. So do you want to say about Fibonacci series?
I think there are some numbers being arranged in certain fashion. I don't really know about it, forgot. But I've heard about it. Fibonacci. I think 1357.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. The final number is the sum of previous two numbers. That's how we come to. So 1,
Yeah.
3, 3 plus 1, 4, 4 plus. I mean, like those numbers.
Yeah, any number in this series of Fibonacci series, is a sum of the previous two numbers. Yeah. So 1, 3, 5, 7. No.
No, not like that.
So 1 plus 2 plus 3.
4, 1, 3, 4, 7.
Is that correct?
1, 2, 3.
How is the Fibonacci
7,
series?
like that.
It can be 0 also. 0, 1.
Yeah, starting with 0.
1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 2 is 3, then 3 plus
3
2
plus
is
2
5,
is 5.
5 plus it goes like that. The next number is the summation of the previous two numbers.
Previous two numbers. Yeah. Yeah. But how is... Okay, so after 5 it is 8 or 7? 8? Okay.
Yeah, 5 plus 3.
Yeah.
So C is equal to A plus B.
C equals to A plus B. Yeah. Okay. So, and then there is a Fibonacci diagram. Okay, based on this Fibonacci numbers. If you arrange these numbers in a rectangle, and that can be further subdivided into small rectangles, and then you draw a curve, it's a spiral. So everything in the universe, okay, for example, the conch shell, the pineapple, the top skin of the pineapple, the honey bees, everything that the beautiful rose petals, or the face of a beautiful person, everything follows this pattern. Everything follows this uh, Fibonacci diagram. So if you can go to YouTube and then look up Fibonacci series or Fibonacci diagram or something like that, you will see some mind-boggling facts actually. So God has left His signature in the design of everything in the universe. Just like Apple, they leave their signature in the creation of all their gadgets. Okay, everything is white and silver, and everything is very sleek, lightweight. So you'll see some kind of signature, coming from Apple. Similarly, God has left His signature in the creation of everything in the universe. Okay, so now after talking about these 4 aspects, what are the 4 aspects? Creation implies creator, organization implies organizer, design implies designer, and then laws imply lawmaker and law overseer. Okay. Uh, so we know that there is an intelligent person behind the creation of the universe and behind the creation of life in the universe. Okay. Now, what do we mean when we say God? And we are calling that intelligent being as God, generator, observer, and destroyer. Right? That's how some people explain the abbreviation God, 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 generator, uh, observer, and then destroyer. Observer or maintainer, and then destroyer. So, what do we mean when we say God? So, what's our understanding of the definition of God?
Higher power.
Hmm?
Higher power.
Higher power, yeah.
Divine.
Divine, yeah.
Everything.
Hmm?
Everything.
Everything, yes. God is everything, yeah.
Giver.
God is everywhere.
God is everywhere, yeah. Very good. Omnipresent. God is omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient, yeah.
Giver to me at least, because as human we go to God when we need something, or when we good something happens. So it can
Okay.
be everything, but to me it would be like an entity that gives you, like, if you ask for something, right?
Hmm.
That's
Okay. So let's see what Vedas have to say about the definition of God. The Vedas say that the definition of God is cause of all causes and the ultimate source of everything that exists. Sarva Karana Karanam. God is the father of all children, parent of all parents. Now, cause of all causes. Now, when you look at this, it almost sounds like Big Bang theory, right? When we say that God is the cause of all causes, there's no difference there's no difference between what scientists are saying that Big Bang is the cause of everything. It's the same thing, right? Even though it appears to be same, but there's a difference. What's the difference? The difference is the so-called scientists who came up with this Big Bang theory. First of all, they themselves said it cannot be mathematically measured or it cannot be scientifically proven. Now forget about the process to prove it, or forget about how can we verify that Big Bang theory is correct or not. Forget about that. That means there is no process to verify if Big Bang is correct or not. Because the scientists who wrote Big Bang theory, they themselves said it cannot be proven. It's just some theory, just to satisfy some quest for um, absolute truth. But the Vedas, when they say cause of all causes, sarva karana karanam, the same Vedas, they have given a process to verify this. They have given a process to verify if God is actually the cause of everything in the universe. Now, we all have our parents, biological parents. We know their names, and we see them, and we know that they also have parents, our grandparents, and we also know that there are great grandparents, and we also know that there are ancestors who are the cause of these great grandparents, and we also know that Brahma is the cause of all these ancestors, and then great grandparents, grandparents, parents, and finally ourselves. We know that Brahma is the cause of all. Brahma is the creator who created all these things. Similarly, if we go all the way up to the final cause all causes. That person who even created Brahma. So that person is God who has no cause. That person, God, who created Brahma, and in turn who created all the living entities in the world. So that God is that person who has no causes. He's the cause of everything, but he has no cause. That's the definition of cause of all causes, right? But there is a question in our mind, right? But who created God? Who created God? So when we say cause of all causes, sarva karana karanam, by definition, there should not be any cause. By definition, there should not be any cause for that person who is the cause of all causes. Now, God is the cause of all the other effects in the universe. He is the cause of the effect of Brahma. He is the cause of effect of all our ancestors. He is the cause of the effect of great-grandparents. He is the cause of effect of grandparents, parents, and us. But he has no cause. Because by definition, he is like that. By definition, he has no cause. He is the source of both chicken and egg. Oftentimes we hear this debate, right? What came first, chicken or egg, the tree or seed? But God is that person who is the source of both the tree and the seed. And he is that person who has no cause. Sarva karana karanam. Now we cannot understand this fact now with our scientific brain and with our with our human brain, which is always inclined to ask questions, logic and reason. We cannot understand this. Even though we hear cause of all causes, God is the cause of all causes, still we ask the question, who created God? But by definition, when we say cause of all causes, he should be that person who has no cause. So how is that possible? There's a process in Vedas. There's a process given in the Vedas. If we follow that process, then we can verify that fact. We can have realization of that fact, and all our questions will be clarified. But the problem is, people do not follow the process. People do not follow the process. When they hear God is the cause of all causes, they ask, oh, how can he be the cause of all causes, and who created him? And then they stop it there. They don't follow the process given in the Vedas. Just like for everything in science, there is a process to verify things. Similarly, in Vedas also, there are facts given and there is a process. There's a process to prove those facts. So God is, the first definition of God is Supreme Creator, Sarva Karana Karanam, cause of all causes. Okay? Supreme Creator. And then Supreme Proprietor, Supreme Enjoyer, and then there is Supreme Controller. Because God has created everything, he owns everything. He's a proprietor. So if you write a piece of code, you become the owner of that. You can file a patent, and you have the intellectual rights on that piece of code that you have written. That's your intellectual property. So whatever you have created, you become the owner of it. You become the proprietor of it. So because God has created everything, he is a proprietor of everything. He is the owner of everything. Now when we buy a house, we can say that I am the proprietor of the house, temporarily for some time. But few years down the lane, the same house can be transferred to someone else. If another person buys that house, he will become the owner of that house. And then after, let's say after 20-30 years, if government wants to acquire that property for the development of some projects in the in the community, government will become the owner of that house. So we are temporary caretakers of the properties. Okay, but we are not the ultimate, or we are not the permanent proprietors or the owners of anything in the world. So temporarily we are some caretakers, and after we pass away from this material world, those assets will go to someone else. It can go to our children, or it can go to some neighbors, it can go to someone else. Okay, and we often see uh, people fight for small things because they think that they are the owners, they are the proprietors, they are the controllers. Yeah? There's an example given here, fighting for silly things such as a seat in the train. Okay, so we see that oftentimes in India, in the Indian railways. So somebody, who bought a seat. Okay, so obviously it belongs to them, but by the time that person comes and occupies that seat, let's say someone else came and sat there. Now there is a big fight between those two people. They continue fight until they reach their destination, and then they both get down onto the platform, and then they continue. The train has left, the seat has left, and the train has left. They're still continuing fighting, and they have even forgotten what is the reason why they are fighting. Okay, so there are small things that can cause big fights, all because of this proprietorship, controllership, ownership. Yeah,
So you say cause of all causes, right?
yeah,
So isn't this everything? So in Hindi you say everything is जो भी हो रहा है भगवान की वजह से हो रहा है, right?
yeah,
Be it good, bad, evil, right?
yeah.
So these fight might also be something God is directing, right?
Hmm.
Right? Is it okay to blame on yourself that oh, like humans created fight, or is it something that God created?
Hmm.
That's why we're doing it,
Hmm.
right? Is that how we look at it?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So the question is, online person Nandana, if you did not hear the question, so the question is, when we say God has created everything, that means the example given just now, like fight between two people, just for a small thing such as seat in the train, is that also created by God? Hmm? Are the good and bad in the society, is it also created by God? No, it is not. So, Nandana, you were able to say something, or you had a question?
No, I thought everything is predetermined. On why you fight also is determined. So
Yeah,
that's
no,
yeah.
no. So God gives freedom to everyone. God gives the ability to choose to everyone. Why? Why does God give freedom to everyone? Because He loves. He loves all of us. He's the parent of all parents, as we saw here, right? Parent of all parents. He's the father of all living entities. Hi.
Is it for the kids also? It's Bhagavad Gita classes.
There is another class for kids.
Go
Uh,
straight and take a left.
Telugu class? You're looking for Telugu?
Telugu class.
Behind. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's 11:04. We will just discuss this topic and then finish. So, God gives free will or freedom to all of us because He loves us. Wherever there is love, there is freedom. There is freedom of choices. Without freedom, it's not called love. It is dictatorship, right? God never forces us to love Him. God never forces us to serve Him. God never forces us to do certain things in certain way. God gives freedom, complete freedom to us. But that freedom is within the range of choices which are controlled by the three modes of material nature, the Prakriti. Okay? The three modes of material nature are Sattva Guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. Mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So you can think of these three modes as three primary colors. RGB, red, green and blue. Now, a mix of these three colors will produce more colors. Similarly, the mix of these three modes, Sattva, Tama and Rajoguna, will produce more gunas. A permutation and combination of these three modes, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, will produce more gunas. Guna means quality. Okay? So the gunas, everything that we do in the material world is happening under the influence of these three modes. Now, a permutation and combination of these three modes produce a wide range of choices. So whatever you can choose, it is within that framework. So God gives us a framework. He does not force us to make one particular choice. అయిపోతుంది ఇంకో 5 minutes. Yeah.
అది కింద క్లాస్ భారీ వల్లభ్ ఎక్కడ
Behind this wall, ఆ రూమ్ ఉంది కదా బ్యాక్ సైడ్, అక్కడే అవుతుంది. So God gives us a framework. Whatever you can choose is within that framework of choices. It's like, for example, a child wants to play. Child can go to the backyard of the house and play. Within that backyard, the child can run around everywhere. But the child cannot cross on the left side of the backyard, the fence, or the right side of the fence, or the back side of the fence. Whatever the child can do is within that backyard. Krishna calls this as kshetra, the field of activity. Whatever you do in the material world is within that field. He has given a field to us. Okay, so within that field, whatever you choose, you choose. It's a framework. But anything beyond that, we cannot. So now that example of fight between two people, there is always a choice whether to fight or not. The person who has legally bought the seat, who has all the rights to occupy the seat, he can avoid the fight thinking that, okay, so I bought this seat, but another person, he is so stubborn, he doesn't want to give up, he wants to have a big fight. Now I have two choices. One choice is to engage in the fight and lose peace of mind. Okay, and you disturb your mind and everything. Another choice is, okay, so I cannot win over this fight. He's so stubborn, or he's powerful, he's mighty. I cannot win over this fight. Let me find another seat, or let me just stand and then tolerate this. So that's an intelligent choice. If you are able to win over that fight without causing much disturbance to you. See, what is your goal? To have a comfortable journey, right? To have a comfortable journey and reach the destination. But if you want to have an upper hand by fighting against the other person and proving that you are a powerful person than the other person, what is happening to you? You are losing your peace of mind. It is creating a lot of disturbance. So instead of that, you just tolerate that situation for some time, and then you have somewhat comfortable journey to the destination. It may not be 100% comfortable, but it is better than fighting with the other person and losing the battle. You paid money to buy the seat, and you are engaging in the fight that you cannot win over. So it's a total damage, total destruction to yourself. It's a bigger damage than tolerating the situation. So the two choices that person had were either tolerating or fighting and losing the battle. So an intelligent person will make a choice to tolerate the situation rather than engaging in the fight and losing the battle. But at the same time, you don't have to tolerate anything and everything in life. If you are able to change some situation, Yes, you fight back. It's not like, as Gandhiji said, if a person slaps on your left cheek, show your right cheek. It's not like that. You don't have to tolerate things in life like that. Everything has to be within the dharmic framework. Okay. You had a further question?
Yeah, so you have to make a choice.
Yes.
There's a karma you can't escape. You have to make.
You have to make a choice.
You have to make a choice.
Yeah.
You cannot just say, I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
If you're born, you
Yes.
have to indulge in doing the karma. You
Yes.
cannot escape the karma.
Yeah. Yeah. You cannot sit idle. Yeah.
That's also a sin.
And you are forced to make a choice. Yeah. The Prakriti, material nature, gives us the choices, and the same Prakriti also forces us to make choices. You cannot sit idle.
In the second chapter of Gita, where it says, Krishna says that karma has to be done, right? And even if you are smart enough, but you don't do anything, you can't escape your karma. Like karma has to be done.
Yeah. Yeah. Karma has to be done, but you should not be attached to the results of the karma. Karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbur mate sangostva karmani. You have every right to perform your duty, but you have no right to the results of your action. Yeah. And there's a great philosophy why Krishna said that. Come on, somebody is asking me to do something, and the same person is asking me, I'm not entitled to the results of the action. It doesn't make sense. But there's a great philosophy why Krishna, gave that instruction. Do your duty, but not be attached to the results of your action. So the point is, we have choices. It's not predestined. Everything is not predestined. So whatever we are today, whatever life that we are experiencing today, how did this life come about? Who created this life? We are born to so and so parents, to such and such family. We are born in such and such place. We are born in such and such condition, whether rich condition, or rich family, or poor family. A person is born blind, born deaf, born dumb, or another person, he has all his senses working properly. So how did this life happen? Who created this life? We created our life. We created this life in our previous life. We created this current life in our previous life. And what are we doing in this current life? We are creating our future life. That means we have choices, right? Right now we have a choice. What type of life I'm going to have in the next life? What type of birth I'm going to have in the next life? I have that choice now. So if we read scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Ramayana, we can sharpen our intelligence and make right choices. So if we cultivate the spiritual knowledge, we can make correct choices. Otherwise, we'll make wrong choices. So there are two dogs in every person's body. There's a good dog and bad dog. Sometimes good dog wins, sometimes bad dog wins. Both dogs are barking. The good dog is always barking to engage in sinful activities. Do this, do that, to fulfill our sense enjoyment. The bad dog is always barking. And the good dog is also barking. Go to the temple. Read Bhagavad Gita. Good dog is also barking. Do some charity. Feed poor people. Give some clothes to the poor people. Good dog is also barking. So whichever dog we feed more, that dog will win over the other dog. If we feed the bad dog will bark more and bad dog will win over the good dog. And vice versa. If we feed the good dog better, good dog will, it's all about the strength, right? So the good dog will gain strength and good dog will become powerful, and good dog will win over the bad dog. So that's what we have to do. To make correct choices in our life, we have to cultivate spiritual knowledge. We have to sharpen our intelligence. Okay. So I think it's 11:15. I think we should stop here.
Second point about supreme enjoyer.
Enjoyer, yeah.
So, like, what do you mean by that? Like, so we often talk about how, what, who, all these things, but we kind of forget an important point. Why?
Hmm.
Like, why did God even create this? Like, supreme enjoyer. Like, so let's say I want to make a chicken biryani. I'm
Yeah.
gonna kill a chicken. Obviously, I'm not gonna kill, like someone kills it, but end of the day, I'm also a part of it in a killing process.
Yeah.
So if the process is going on everywhere,
Yeah.
obviously there is good things happening and there is also suffering.
Yeah.
So now Krishna is obviously watching this, or the God is watching this.
Hmm.
So is he enjoying this, like the good things which are happening, or
Hmm.
like let's say a woman is being raped in Kolkata or whatever? At
Yeah.
that point in time, does Krishna enjoy that, or what exactly?
No, obviously not, right? So when see, we are all his children. When a child of a parent is engaging in sinful activity, obviously the parent does not enjoy. Just like that, God, when there are some heinous activities happening in the society, he does not enjoy. The definition of supreme enjoyer means everything is created by God. The entire creation, all the all the universes, the unlimited number of universes. We only know about one universe, but there are unlimited number of universes. All the unlimited number of universes and all the creation in the universe, the people, the trees, the animals, everything. So he is the enjoyer of everything. So every time what we think, what's our mentality? Our mentality is doership mentality, controllership mentality, enjoyership mentality. I have done this. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Kartaham iti manyate. Karta aham means I have done this. I have created this. And I have created this and I am the controller. I can control things and I can enjoy things. I am the enjoyer. I am the creator, I am the controller, I am the enjoyer. That's our mentality. But are we the enjoyers? Are we the controllers? Are we the creators? Controller. When we talk about controllership, right? We cannot even control our own spouse. Now, what to speak of controlling things in the world? Yeah? There is a small joke about this controllership mentality. I'll come back to your question again. Okay. So we all know about Akbar and Birbal, right? So once uh, Akbar, he asked Birbal, who is the king and who is the minister? Akbar is the minister, Birbal is the minister. Akbar is minister, right? Huh? Yeah, sorry, Akbar is king. Akbar is the king and Birbal is the minister. So once Akbar asked Birbal, uh, bring all the men from the village to the assembly. So Birbal brings all the men into the assembly, and then Akbar asks uh, Akbar asks all the men, whoever whoever think that they are very obedient to their wife, uh, come to this side. Okay. In other words, whoever think that they are controlled by their wife, come here, come to this side. Everybody comes to the other side except one person. Then Akbar is surprised. He asked that person, why didn't you come to the other person? Huh? So that means you're not controlled by your wife? Uh, then that person answers saying that I'm controlled by my wife, but at this time I do not have permission to come to the other side. I do not have permission of my wife to come to the other side. So that is how we can control things in our life. That means we have little control in everything. Okay. Uh, We are forced to eat. We are forced to go to restroom. We are forced to sleep. We are forced to wake up. Huh? We are forced to do many things in life. We do not have control. Now, when heinous activities happen in the society, God does not enjoy. In fact, it is the God who suffers the most than us. When a heinous activity happens, the person who is creating that heinous action is also disturbed. He knows that it's a heinous action. Before committing the heinous activity, he knows that it's a bad thing to do. So he is disturbed, he is not happy, but due to some circumstances, he is forced to commit that heinous action. And the person and the victim is also disturbed. So both the culprit and the victim in that heinous activity, both are suffering. But more than the culprit and the victim, it is the God who suffers the most. When a child is committing some sinful activity, obviously the child suffers. But more than the child, the father or the mother, they suffer the most. Thinking that, oh, I wish my child, to grow like a good citizen. But I'm so sad that my child is engaged in such sinful activities. I'm so helpless. The child who is engaging in sinful activities may not even know how much he is suffering, and may not even know sometimes that it's a sinful activity. But the father knows. The father knows it's a sinful activity, and the father knows that the child is suffering. Similarly, the God does not enjoy these heinous activities. He is suffering. But there is a different reason why God is allowing that. Even though he is suffering, but it is the same God who is allowing that sinful activity. Because without God's will, nobody can perform a sinful activity. As they say, right? Not even a blade of grass moves without the will of God. Even just for a insignificant strand of grass, for it to move to the left or right, it requires God's permission. If I want to lift my hand like this, I need God's permission. Now I am not aware that how things are happening inside, how I am able to lift my hand. I am not aware of all those details. But I am able to lift my hand only with the permission of God. If God does not sanction that, I cannot lift my hand. We can see, right? In old age, people cannot lift their hand. Why? Because God is not sanctioning that. Similarly, even if it is a sinful activity, both good and bad activity, behind every action there is sanction of God. Without sanction of God, nothing happens. And there is a different reason why it happens, like why God sanctions bad activities also. We can discuss some other time. Yes, you had a question. Now, does it answer your question?
Partially.
Okay, partially.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know whether we have time, but I think we can move on.
We can discuss for a few more minutes.
Yeah, it says the real enjoyers, others are cooperators.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so like when we talk about God,
Mm-hmm.
I believe like everything is God. So we are inside God. Like nothing cannot be outside God. Like that's what I think. So if
Our God is within us, actually.
God is within us, or
God is
like
within
we are
us.
inside God, like whatever. So basically, God is inside everyone, or
Mm-hmm.
what you can think about that.
Yeah.
But it says, is the real enjoyers, others are cooperators. Does that mean that the activities, the positive, negative, is done by God? Like He's doing the positive activity on Himself, or negative activity on Himself, or like what exactly is that?
Uh, so here, when it says the real enjoyer and the others are cooperators, the example given here is a hotel owner, right?
Yeah.
So hotel owner, he is the ultimate enjoyer. Whatever happens within the hotel, anything, any benefit, whether it is monetary benefit or any comforts or any name and fame, anything that is produced out of this hotel business, he is the ultimate enjoyer, the hotel owner. Similarly, when the hotel goes through some bad reputation because of some incident, who suffers that bad reputation? The same hotel owner suffers that bad reputation. Okay. Now the hotel owner, now let's only talk about good for now. Okay. To understand this example, the enjoyer and cooperator. So the hotel owner, he's the independent enjoyer. His enjoyment is not dependent on others, others' enjoyment. Okay. Whereas the workers in the hotel, their enjoyment is dependent on the hotel owner. The workers, they are cooperating. They are cooperating with the hotel owner, and they are also getting some enjoyment. Similarly, all the jivas, we are cooperating with God, and we can also get some enjoyment. If we don't cooperate with God, we suffer. We don't get enjoyment. The workers in the hotel, if they don't cooperate with the hotel owner, they suffer. They don't get salaries. They can be even fired. But as long as they are acting as cooperators or servants to the hotel owner, they can enjoy partially. They can enjoy some benefits. They cannot claim that I am the hotel owner. They cannot claim that, all this asset or the property wealth belongs to me. They can enjoy partially whatever salary, whatever clothes and food that they can get. They can enjoy. But the hotel owner, his enjoyment is of greater magnitude compared to the enjoyment of the worker. And his enjoyment is not dependent on the workers. Let's say even if the workers are not coming to the hotel to work, he can simply sell all his hotels and then just live on that wealth. He can still be, a happy person. So his enjoyment is not dependent on anyone else. Similarly, God's enjoyment is not dependent on anyone else. That's why he is called Atmaram, self-satisfied. He finds happiness within. Self-satisfied, Atmaram. Atma Aram means he is happy within. Whereas we are finding happiness in the external objects. But when we cooperate with God, then we can find happiness within us. When we cooperate with God, that same God within us, he is living within us as Paramatma, right? He'll become happy. Now when he becomes happy inside, we'll also become happy. So that's the point about enjoyer and cooperator. Now when Krishna says, I am the supreme enjoyer, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, 5.29, chapter 5, shloka number 29, Bhoktaram yajna tapasam, sarvaloka maheshwaram, suhrudam sarva bhutanam, jnatva mam shantim richasi. Bhoktaram means I am the Bhokta. Bhokta means one who enjoys, right? One who eats or one who enjoys. I am the Bhokta. Bhokta of what? Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. I am the benefactor of all the yajnas and sacrifices. Now Krishna did not say, I am the Bhokta of Papa Karma. Now he is talking about only yajna and tapas. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. So all the good things, whatever good things that happen, he is the enjoyer. He is the Bhokta. Because the bad things, we created those bad things by misusing our free will. And God suffers that. God suffers from that. If a worker in the hotel, by misuse of their duties, if they create some bad reputation to the hotel owner has to suffer. Similarly, if we make wrong choices and commit sinful activities, God also suffers because He's our Father. In fact, He feels more pain than us. A person who has committed, he may or may not feel the pain. But the God as Father, He suffers the most. So anything good that happens, He is the enjoyer. He is the Bhokta. Now why He is the enjoyer? Because He created everything, right? Now it doesn't mean when Krishna says, I am the Bhokta, I am the supreme enjoyer, He's not here to say that you do all the work and I am here to enjoy. You do all the good things. You sow some seeds to grow mango trees, and then you harvest mango fruits, and then you offer to me. I'll eat. I'll only eat. See, when we offer bhoga or naivedya to Krishna, what happens? Is Krishna is making those mango fruits disappear? No. He's eating. We cannot see that, but he's eating, and he's leaving everything there for us to enjoy. Hmm? He gives us more. Very good. He gives us more. The same fruits He gives us with His prasad, with His mercy, with His blessings. So I don't know if it makes sense to you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the concept of God is too complex to like sit and understand.
Yeah, it's a very vast topic.
Yeah.
It cannot be discussed in one sitting like this. Yeah. So we have another topic. Who is God? Okay. So even this topic also we have covered only 50% of the slides. There's more to discuss. We'll discuss this point again and again in the next few topics.
One last question.
Yeah.
One of the things in the discussion that we had today, you said there are some things that we can follow in the Vedas to
Yeah.
experience God.
Mhm.
What exactly is that? Is there some sort of a process that we have to wake up early and like perform some rituals? Like,
So the process given in the Vedas is called bhakti, and the bhakti has 9 different processes. Navavida bhakti. Now, what are the different steps in this process? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Padasevanam, Vandanam, Atmanivedanam. 9 processes. Starting with Shravanam, hearing about God. Okay. Now, if you want to develop faith on somebody, let's say you meet a stranger, you have your fears, right? You cannot trust that person completely. Now, the more you inquire about that person, the more you hear about that person, you start developing faith. So that is the first and foremost process in this bhakti, Shravanam. Hear about God. Now, Krishna himself explained about himself in Bhagavad Gita. From chapter 7 to 12, in 6 chapters, Krishna explained about himself. Now, who can explain better than God about himself? Okay, so Shravanam. The first and foremost process is Shravanam. You hear about God, and then Kirtanam, Shravanam, Kirtanam. That means you glorify about God by singing some kirtans, by singing some bhajans, or by singing the shlokas from Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam or Ramayana. Huh? So when you glorify God, God becomes happy, and then by His mercy we'll come to know about Him. Because with our own efforts, we cannot completely understand God. You put your endeavor of hearing, and then when you glorify God, God becomes more happier, and then by His blessings, we can know about Him. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Archanam, the worship of God, the deity worship of God. Okay? Vandanam, offering prayers to God. Atmanivedanam. Atmanivedanam is the final thing, the complete surrender to God. And then Dasyam, doing some service to God. Doing some service to God means, for example, the temple. Okay? There are so many services needed in the temple. To run the temple, there are some services needed in the kitchen. There are some services needed to clean the floor, There are some services to make the garlands. These are all different services. Dasyam. Sakyam. Develop friendship with God. Treat God like your friend. Okay? Oftentimes people say that I'm God fearing. No, we should not be God fearing. We should be God loving. We should develop love for God. We should not develop fear for God. So develop friendship with God. Develop some loving relationship with God. That is Sakyam. And then finally Atmanivedanam, complete surrender to God. So by following this Navavida Bhakti, these 9 different processes of Bhakti, we can see God. So this is the process given in the Vedas, and there are several examples of people, of great devotees who followed this process and they have seen God. And they have seen God. Srimad Bhagavatam, Ramayana, Mahabharat. There are so many examples of people who followed this process and they have seen God. And there are people who violated this and how they suffered. We have both examples.
Is there any timeline mentioned? Like how long should we?
Timeline, yeah, that's a good question.
Because we are mortal beings.
Yeah. So the Vedas say we can. Yeah. Before that, another important step in that 9 process of devotional service is smarana. Smarana means remembrance, remembrance of God. Just like Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, remembrance of God, thinking of God. Okay. The more you think of God, the more stronger your faith and love for God will develop. Okay. Uh, so in Vishnu Sahasranamam, they say, Yasya smarana matrena janma samsara bandhanat vimuchyate namastasmai vishnave prabha vishnave. Yasya smarana matrena. Matra means it's like 1 minute. You can consider it as like 1 minute. Okay. It's little more than 1 minute, but just think of matra as 1 minute. So in Vishnu Sahasranama it is mentioned, Yasya smarana matrena. Whoever remembers God, even just for a minute, they achieve perfection. That means, if we are able to focus on God in that 1 minute, if we are able to focus on that God completely, we can achieve perfection. So, one can achieve perfection in 1 minute, in as less time as 1 minute, or somebody can take several lifetimes. It can be 100 lifetimes or 1,000 lifetimes, millions of lifetimes. It all depends what we want to do. If we want to get out of this miserable material world in this lifetime only, it is possible. But if we want to be, if you want to relax and then we want to take it easy, we want to put one boat in the material world and one boat in the spiritual world, and we think that okay, spirituality or this religion is something that we need to practice only at the time of retirement, when I'm in old age, when I have finished all my material things, when I have a lot of time and everything, that is when I have to practice spirituality. If we think like that, then what's the guarantee that we will survive? What's the guarantee that we'll survive next day? There's no guarantee. So we should not postpone thinking that okay, I know all this philosophy. It makes sense. It makes sense that I am not this body, I am the soul. There is God. We have to serve God. All this makes sense, but not today. Maybe after some time. If a person thinks like that, then they can take more time. It's a gradual progress. Okay? It all depends what you want to do. It all depends how fast you want to progress. Okay? You can progress, you can achieve perfection in 1 minute, or you can take millions of lifetimes. Okay? Yeah.
Just have one question.
Yeah.
When some heinous crimes happened and there are victims that suffer,
Mhm.
is that predestined, like based on previous karma, or like is it like you said it only happens because of the will of God. Nothing can happen without the will of God.
Mhm.
So why are some people made to suffer so badly? Like he gave an example of the Kolkata rape case.
Yeah.
I think everybody knows about it. So that's like, why does things like that happen? Why does God allow it?
Yeah. So, I can explain in short. It's a complicated topic, but I can explain in short to understand the essence of this. So, one thing for sure is everything that happens by the will of God. Okay. Now, why God allows sinful activities to happen like this? For example, a terrorist killing innocent children in a school, or a hot topic of somebody raping a girl. So all these topics, all these sinful activities, why is God even allowing them to do? Okay. Now, before we discuss this, let's also discuss the situations where God rewards people. Okay, or the society rewards people. For example, somebody achieving the Paramveer Chakra award, or somebody achieving Bharat Ratna award. Now, if the government of India awards Bharat Ratna to somebody without doing any good things, if government of India just thinks that, I forgot your name. What's your name? Jagdish. If government of India thinks that Jagdish will do lot of great things, he will do lot of charitable things, and he will do all good things in one particular area. And then before he even achieves these good things, if government of India awards him with Bharat Ratna, what are we going to say? Huh?
It's good person.
No, without Jagadish doing anything. Without Jagadish doing anything. Government of India awarding him with Bharat Ratna. How do we react? We
It's
protest.
unfair. It's not
We
good.
protest.
I would also think he's very lucky.
No. We protest. We don't just keep quiet saying that he's lucky. We protest. We protest, right? Yeah. We question. Okay. Now let's come back here. Okay. Now just to conclude on that topic, the Bharat Ratna topic. That means government of India is waiting until somebody does these good deeds. Only then they are awarding with Bharat Ratna. Right? Now that makes complete sense. It's fair. It's a fair thing to do. No questions asked. Now, let's say the same government of India, okay, Abhilash. Government of India thinks that Abhilash is going to kill somebody. We have artificial intelligence, Chat GPT 4, 5, 6, 7, and 10. We have so much of data, so much of intelligence data. Now, all the intelligence reports are showing that Abhilash is going to kill somebody. Now, government of India is going to put him in jail without even Abhilash killing anybody. How are we going to react?
Why? That doesn't make sense.
We're going to protest. It doesn't make sense. We're going to question and protest. So whether it is a good deed or bad deed, without that person actually doing that action, if government of India reacts either in a good way or bad way, in a positive way or a negative way, in a rewarding way or in a punishing way, we don't take it. Government of India has to wait for the people to perform their deeds, good deed or bad deed. Similarly, when God, even though it appears as if God letting or God is forcing somebody to perform a sinful activity. God is not forcing, but God is sanctioning that activity because God wants to punish that person. God wants to teach him a lesson. God wants to teach the terrorist a lesson. He wants to put him in a jail and he wants to teach him a lesson to correct him. The prison house is a place of correction. It's not a place of punishment. It's a place of correction. God wants to put the terrorist in the jail to teach him a lesson, to make him a good person. If he's not put in jail, what happens? He can create a big havoc. He can create a biggest danger. Today he's killing 10 innocent children in the school. But if God does not stop that, if God does not put him in jail, he can collapse twin towers. Right? So God has to wait until this person performs a sinful activity so that he can punish him. And he's allowing that. He's allowing that because God wants to teach him a lesson. See, without that person committing that sinful activity, because his desire is like that. Why is God letting him to do that? He is desiring. He's making a desire of doing a sinful activity. And God is letting him do that. And there are more details why God lets the terrorist do that sinful activity, because there is a karma of the children is also involved. The children who are the victims, they are destined to be killed at that time based on their previous karma. It is not like God has decided, okay, these 10 children, they have to die at the age of 7. God is not deciding like that. Based on their previous karma, those 7 children, they have to die at that time. Now God is using this terrorist as a instrument.
So does that mean my death date is already fixed?
Yes and no. It is destined based on the previous karma of those children. Just like how birth is decided. Now, before taking birth, did we make a conscious decision to be born? No, right? Similarly, and just like how birth is predestined, similarly, death is also predestined. But it is based on what we have done in the previous life.
So that does that mean God doesn't know future? Like
He knows present, he knows past, present, and future, everything.
so he knows what will happen to me the next. Let's say I take 100 lives.
Yeah.
He knows that
Yes.
everything what will
He
happen.
knows what we are thinking right now. And he knows what you are going to think the next minute. But the thing is, even though he knows past, present, and future, even though he knows what we are thinking now, what we are going to think next minute, what we are going to do in the next life, he does not interfere. That's the important thing. He does not interfere. He knows everything, but he does not interfere.
He gives you that platform to explain, right?
Hmm?
He gives you that platform to explore. That's what you explained in the lecture.
He gives the framework. Yeah, he gives the framework to make the choices. He gives the choices, but he also knows what choice we are going to make. Yeah. Yes, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
I have a question. When you said we are predestined for everything, right?
Hmm.
So, and also little souls. I mean, there is nothing like a little soul or an adult soul. Soul is a soul.
Yeah.
Even if it's in a 1-year-old or like a 70 or a 100-year-old.
Yes.
But why the suffering? Like when you said like in a terrorist attack, why can't somebody have a peaceful death, even if it's their karma
Mm-hmm.
to die at that point?
Mm-hmm.
Why would he put somebody, he gives a peaceful death, somebody such a suffering of like complete burnt
Yeah.
in their Bombay attacks or something? Why
Yeah.
is that?
Yeah, that's another good question. So now going back to the same example of those 7 innocent children getting killed by a terrorist. So why it happened like that? Because it is based on why they have to die prematurely and then with great suffering like that. It is based on their previous karma. In the previous karma, they must have killed somebody. They must have killed somebody horribly like that. Now Dhritarashtra example from Mahabharata. Dhritarashtra, he had to suffer the loss of 100 sons. Why? Because 50 lifetimes before, he killed 100 birds. He killed 100 birds. That's why he had to suffer the loss of 100 sons. At the end of Mahabharata, the Kurukshetra war, Dhritarashtra asked Krishna, Krishna, why did I have to suffer the loss of 100 children? Then Krishna explained, because 50 lifetimes ago, you killed 100 birds and you had to take 50 births to do some punya karma so that you can get 100 sons. Because it's not easy to get 100 sons. Even to get one son, the Vedas describe a person has to do a lot of punya karma. Now, what to speak of getting 100 sons? So Dhritarashtra had to go through 50 lifetimes to do some punya karma and get 50 and get 100 sons. Eventually, he lost everything.
It's a win at the end of the day.
Yeah.
The magic of this one, and and also being blindsided by the whole thing.
Yeah.
The karma you have, the good karma you keep, and
Yeah.
the bad karma, and you're blindsided by that.
Yeah.
Just to kind of repent the consequences of that. Just imagining the parents suffering
Yeah.
when they lose those 7 or the kids.
Yeah.
It's really barbaric. I don't know why God.
Yeah, I know it is. When things happen in this lifetime, many things actually don't make sense, and we don't have answers to them. But 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 everything is God's plan. Everything is God's plan. When whatever is happening, it's all because of the previous deeds that we did in the previous lifetimes. Now, a person who is smoking, he knows smoking is injurious to health. It is written on the cigarette pack itself. Now, when you go to that last minute, when he's on the deathbed, he has suffered the cancer for 10 years, and when you go to the deathbed, we cannot question God at that time, saying that, oh, why God is making him suffer so much? Why can't God give him a peaceful death? Despite knowing that it is injurious to health, he has smoked for several years. That's why he has to suffer. Now, despite knowing the do's and don'ts, despite reading Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam or Ramayana, if we still engage in sinful activities, we have to suffer.
What is the best remedy, you say, Kasam Garu? You say read all the scriptures we have,
Yeah.
and pray God when somebody has that tough situation for
Yeah.
endurance, or what is your best way of advice
Yeah.
for somebody to kind of evolve from that when
So,
a tragedy strikes?
yeah. So when somebody is struck by tragedy, see, that's why it is very important to cultivate spiritual knowledge right from the beginning. Don't wait for a tragedy. See, just like we should be like soldiers. Soldiers do not wait for the war to happen. Soldiers, what do the soldiers do every day? Every day they practice. They practice how to fight. They practice how to use weapons. huh? They build their muscles. huh? Every day they do all that exercise that is involved in the military discipline. Whatever is needed, they do that every single day. Now, if you go and see them doing this every single day, you cannot ask them, "Oh, the war is not even happening now. Why are you doing all this? Why are you wasting time like this now?" Okay, you never know when the war comes. You never know when the storm comes. So the time of calm is when you practice spirituality, not the time of storm. Before the storm comes, you should be ready. So for a person who has cultivated spiritual knowledge, it is easy to tolerate a tragedy. But for a person who does not have spiritual knowledge, it is very difficult to handle a tragedy. So in that situation, if he is lucky enough to have a good piece of advice from other well-wishers who are knowledgeable in spirituality, who have some scriptural knowledge, they can guide. Otherwise, it's not easy to handle a tragedy. Yeah. For example, for the parents of those 7 children who died prematurely, right? Now, if they don't have spiritual background, how can they tolerate that situation? It's not easy. So Prahlad Maharaj says, a person has to cultivate spiritual knowledge right from the tender age of 5 years. Kaumara acharet prajno. Kaumara means 5 years. As tender as 5 years. One has to start cultivating spiritual knowledge from 5 years. Then they can become a good citizen. And anything happens in life, they can handle. Because life is it's a package, a mix of both good and bad. Even though a person who is happy today, anything can happen tomorrow.
Just
There's no
about
guarantee.
that, when that happens, when you move on and just trying to be happy
Mhm.
is a big burden, right? Like,
Yeah.
and you have this flash memory,
Yeah.
flashes of those things that come into the brain, and
Yeah.
even in medicine, when they say you go to a counseling or like seek help,
Yeah.
is it really helping? And
Mhm.
I personally also believe that they have to have that spiritual maturity to
Yes.
understand
Yeah.
and then come out of it.
Yeah. See, COVID. Who could explain the cause of COVID? Nobody could explain. There are different, theories. It all happened in Wuhan laboratory. uh, Somebody created it purposefully, or some bats or owls ate something, and then a person ate that bat or owl, and that's how it all started. There are different theories. Now, do we scratch our heads in figuring out who created COVID? No, we don't have time for that. Rather, we should cultivate spiritual knowledge and understand why things like COVID or tsunami or earthquake are happening. What's the bigger plan behind all this? We should have a bigger picture of the things that are happening and not just be stuck with uh, day-to-day small things. So Krishna gives a very important instruction in second chapter, 2.14. It's an instruction of tolerance, art of tolerance. Krishna says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya, shitoshna sukha dukkada, agama payino nitya, tam stitikshasva bharata. Titiksha. Titiksha means tolerance. Krishna says, one must learn to tolerate. When Arjuna said, before this shloka, Krishna gives a preliminary knowledge of the soul, saying that you are not this body, but you are the soul. Then immediately Arjuna asks a question. Okay, Krishna, fine. I get this philosophy. I am not this body, but I am the soul. But when I am interacting with my relatives, I am interacting with their bodies. And anything happens to their bodies or anything happen to my body, it affects me. What should I do? Until I get convinced that I am the soul, until I have the uh, practical realization of the soul, until I have that Atma Sakshatkara, the wisdom, I'm acting on the bodily platform. So what should I do when something happens to somebody? It affects me. What should I do? Krishna says, learn to tolerate. Krishna says that very politely, saying that one must learn to tolerate. But the indirect instruction from Krishna is, you cannot do anything other than tolerating. Can we do anything other than tolerating? No. 99% of the things that happen to our life, we cannot do anything other than tolerating. The boss, getting angry at us, or the spouse getting angry at us at home, children not behaving properly. We can do little bit. But beyond that, we cannot control things. We have to tolerate. There's no other option. When COVID was happening, what could we do? All the scientists, AI, nothing could stop it. We had to tolerate until the COVID subsided by itself over a period of time, in 2 or 3 years. Until it subsided by itself, we had to tolerate. It's fine. We all took vaccine and everything. By the way, I never took vaccine. I never wore mask. I never took vaccine. So, people can do things. Whatever is possible, you can do. But beyond those, things are beyond our control.
One
Yes.
question. Uh, Can you like you don't remember your past lives, you don't remember what your past karmas were, but
Yeah.
can you wash your past karmas in your current life, or like
Yes.
you have to suffer something that you did maybe 50, 60 lifetimes ago?
Hmm. Yeah, you can wash away all of your karma from all the previous lifetimes when we surrender to Krishna. Krishna tells in the last chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that is his last instruction, 18.66. In chapter 18, shloka number 66, Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha isyami masuchaha. Krishna says, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I will take care of all your sinful activities. Do not fear. Masuchaha, do not fear. Krishna says, abandon all varieties of religion. That means there are so many different philosophies in the society, right? There are atheists, theists, and within the theists, there are impersonalists, personalists. There are so many rituals. People perform so many rituals. For example, Navratri time, right? There is so much of Devi worship. Huh? Somebody worships Ganesha, somebody worships Indra, Varuna, Vayu, Agni. Huh? So many different kinds of worship is happening. So Krishna says, abandon all varieties of religion. Just surrender unto me. It can be Krishna, Vishnu, or Narayana, Rama, whoever that supreme is. Just surrender to me, and I will take care of all your sinful activities. Now, just like Indian government, let's say they arrest a hardcore criminal, and then they put him in a jail, and then they punish him with life sentence. That means they have to be in the jail for the rest of the lifetime. But if that person, after coming to the prison house, if that person behaves nicely, if he does good things, if he shows signs of improvement, then the president can cancel this life sentence and they can release him. Even though he has committed so many sinful activities and he was put into the jail with the life sentence, but the president of India can cancel all of that and then release him.
Is that the
Similarly,
only
God.
way?
Hmm?
Is that the only
That's
way?
the only way.
Because you mentioned about killing like 100 birds or 50 birds, whatever.
Yeah.
So I personally feel uh, the concept of duality, like if there is life, there has to be death.
Mhm.
Like if we want to live, someone has to die. Like
Mhm.
if you're non-veg, like the birds or
They have to,
animals need to die.
yeah.
If you're vegetarian,
Neha,
then
do you mind putting
Yeah.
this charge?
then vegetables need
It's
to die.
completely gone. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So there is this constant karma which is getting accumulated for me.
Mhm.
So if you just go by the pure concept of karma, then
Yeah.
there is no mukti for me. Like even infinite lifetimes.
Yeah.
Like maybe now it's 10,
Yeah.
and I kill like 100 birds or whatever.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 110.
Yeah.
So the next Janma I might not kill anything, and maybe it will decrement. But the next Janma it can like come up like stocks, right?
Yeah.
Go up, come down.
Yeah.
So I feel like if this process keeps on going, there's no end.
Yeah.
It's an infinite process.
Yeah.
So is the mercy of God the only way to escape?
Yeah. 1 second. Let me stop the recording here because I think otherwise it's going to become a lengthy file and I cannot even upload anywhere.